Here's the big question. How is it that most entrepreneurs hustle and are always busy and struggle to take just one step forward only to fall two steps back? They're dedicated, determined, and driven, but only a few finally break through and win. This show uncovers those quantum leap patterns of highly successful people so you can simply model what they do and apply to your future success. That's the question, and the answers are right here. My name is Brigitte Höfele, and this is the Success Patterns Show. All right. Welcome everyone to the Success Pattern Show. Are you in for a treat today? Today we have a productive, kind, and joyous woman here with us at the Success Pattern Show. My name is Brigitte Höfele. I am the CEO of the Center of NLP, and I am all about love is kind today. With me here today is the beautiful Rosie Aiello. I love saying her last name. Love it. Rosie, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Brigitte. We're learning how to pronounce each other's last names, right? I'm American of Italian descent, and you're the real thing. German.
And I'm just German, and we drove 3 hours south, and I was in Italy. But let me tell you guys, so you know who this wonderful woman is that is on the Success Pattern Show today, as we're really shining light on lovely people, but really people that have success in their life, however they are defining success. Because I think if we really would interview everyone, people have a different each person has a different definition of success. And I want to talk about Rosie here for a little bit. After 25 years in a relationship, Rosie engineered an international escape from the Middle East to save her young adult daughter and herself from domestic violence. Boy, oh boy, that all in itself is a story, and I could stop right there. And it's got a happy end, okay? So stunned by PTSD and nearly mentally destroyed her and her daughter, she reinvented herself since arriving back in the US and became a speaker, a best-selling author, a host of the Vulnerable to Valuable podcast, and an international multi-award-winning entrepreneur. She runs her own summits. She's an incredible speaker. I've gotten to know her through some speaking engagements, and she's just absolutely wonderful. And now she is with the kind love of her life, not just any love of her life, but the kind love of her life. And if you're making notes, make sure you guys that you have something to write with and write on, because you want to take notes. So write down kind love, not just any love. As a woman's life and transformational coach, Rosie helps women who have emerged from narcissistic, controlling, and abusive or toxic relationships to reclaim their voice, their value, their confidence, and their courage so they can create a joyful, productive, and prosperous life that they desire. Women also hire Rosie so that they can find a safe, healthy, and kind relationship. Again, Rosie, thank you for being here and bringing your kind love to us.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited. I get excited. It's always interesting when you hear your own bio read. It brings you back, to where I started. And when I hear those things, it's kind of remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine going through what you have gone through. And, a lot of people get stuck in their pain. And before we started the recording today or started the show, we talked about what people don't want, right? Before they know what they do want. In NLP, that's called the moving away from moving towards to laws of success. And by the way, I'm just going to put a little mental note here and a seed for everyone. Rosie brought a great gift, and you want to stick around because we're going to share that gift, how you can download that in a little bit. But how do you move away from such a not just toxic relationship, but from such a traumatic experience, Rosie?
It's a good question, and it's multi-layered. And part of it really is really just now getting this first thing is getting the support. And I think I read enough books and did enough studying. I probably could have become a therapist myself, but I didn't. But that's how much it was. I didn't. This is really a team effort. You know, I collected a team, and for me, I was like I was willing to try anything to heal and figure out who I was, what happened, how did it happen? Because there's so much shame around these relationships. The women are holding so much shame, and men too when they're in them. So I within a couple weeks of landing back in the United States, I found a therapist for my daughter and myself, and then read this book and that book, and just read and read and read. I had different modalities. I tried Reiki. I tried past life regression. I tried hypnotherapy. I did an NLP. You know, in fact, I became an NLP practitioner too. So I mean, I'm just constantly learning. And it's a nonstop way. And then just learning about the brain. I love psychology. I love the brain. I'm just totally fascinated by it. And it was that journey of really looking inward for the first time. Really, it's like, I really didn't know who I was. I thought I did, but I really didn't. And that's where the work begins.
And I know that you work with a lot of women. Do you see women coming, not necessarily even out of a traumatic relationship like you did, and there are many women out there, and we know that, but even just women, coming out of a corporate job relationship and suddenly finding themselves, who am I? What is my identity? What do I stand for? Because suddenly their whole identity of being a corporate leader is taken from them, or maybe they decided to not want that anymore, right? And that is that pattern all in itself, I would assume, is very similar.
Yeah, it is, because the whole thing is that you don't know who you are. You don't know what you stand for. You don't know what's important to you. And I think that's one of the first things I do, besides when I work with my clients, of getting, what's the vision you want, and really digging down deep. And then just like, well, what's important to you? What do you want? Because I feel like we all pick up our values. I call it, like, I pick up my values like I pick up seashells from the seashore. I am just not even thinking about it. It comes through, family and religion and schools and colleagues and friends and work and everything else. And we just kind of pick them up and we accept them without questioning them, until we get to a point where, well, that doesn't work for me anymore. I didn't know that. I mean, even something as simple as when your children are little, your value is really focused on taking care of them. But when they get older, you still love your child, but it's not when they become adults, you're not feeding them anymore, right? So,
I
but
hope not.
right. But it's like really looking at what's important to you. And very few people, I think, really do that. They don't ask what's important. They've all been giving, especially women. I think we give in corporate. I was in corporate before, many moons ago. So we give in corporate. We're trying to prove ourselves. And let me tell you, the other thing I think that makes it even more complicated for professional women, really successful women, is because they have been so successful in business. When they may go home and they're in this toxic relationship, and they're working on it, and they're working on it. It's like, that's how I was. Like, I was so successful at work. Why can't I get this marriage to work? What's wrong with me? Right? We end up, what's wrong with me? Something must be wrong with me. I'm successful here. And so then you keep trying and you keep trying, and nothing works and nothing works. I mean, he would like make a goal. Like, I mean, it's crazy. Well, fold my shirts this way. I've got such a great story on that. Fold my shirts this way. And I fold them that way. And then a few months later, he throws them all out of the cupboard and says, these are all wrong. And it's like, what? Why? They're not wrong. And see, it just makes your mind go crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of relationship. So you've got this with I tell my women, all the women are really smart women, but they've kind of been reduced from the relationship side as if they're nothing. And so they don't feel like they're enough. And how, when you're working with your clients, is that how you are in one place is how you are in another place. So even though they're successful in business, there's still that part that's eating them down there. Maybe they won't ask for that raise. Maybe they won't speak up. They're probably successful enough, but that part is challenging them. Well, you really aren't good enough. You can't get your marriage to work. You can't get that relationship to work.
And it's fascinating. For what reason do a lot of women buy into that outside acknowledgement, or that being in a situation where, yes, shame and guilt is the only thing that they're holding on to? And if we know anything, if you've ever read the book by Dr. Hawkins, Power versus Force, we know energetically shame and guilt are the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They're the
Yes,
lowest.
they're low, right? And that's why a lot of women become suicidal, right? I was suicidal. It was just crazy. My daughter was too, and I didn't know that until much later. But yeah, I mean, talk about shame, Brigitte. I was in this marriage for 25 years, this relationship for 25 years, and nobody knew. Nobody knew. I was living overseas, but it wasn't until 18 years later, 18 years into the marriage, I read a book and realized, oh, that looks like my relationship. And then I told my brother and my two best friends in the United States. So in 25 years, 3 people knew. It still would take another while before I could get out. Well, before I chose to get out. But that's the power of shame. And that's how it destroys, that's how it can destroy a human being.
And would you say you've eaten all of the stuff just kind of up so it doesn't show on the outside? It was just all, it's all inside of Rosie.
Yeah, you mean when I was there? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I say we should get, women who've been in that, we should get the Academy Award for the best actress.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No joke, because we would
Yeah.
smile, and on the outside, he was great, right? It was only, behind those 4 closed walls where then he would just turn into a different person. It's that Jekyll and Hyde mentality. But as a normal, and for a marriage or a relationship, just like, you're not expecting that person. You're not expecting that person to treat you that way. So it's very confusing. Plus, when they're really nice, sometimes you latch onto that hope. Oh, well, there he is. That's the part that I love. That's the part that's great. But then you have the other part where he's not. And then that's what really confuses you. And that's the basis of gaslighting. Right?
Yes.
When they say, they'll say something really nice, and then they'll start to twist it. Like, I didn't say that. Like, I didn't tell you to fold the shirts that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then do you then also find yourself, or have you worked with women that find themselves gaslighting themselves, and now you don't even know what is true, right? And it confuses you on such a deep level.
Well, on multi-levels, because one is that you start to put yourself down, right? We were already saying, like, what's wrong with me? Something must be wrong with me. Why can't I do this right? So you have a whole scenario of negative thoughts that are constantly circling in your mind. And then you are separated from reality. They're very good at keeping you from reality. And like, I was literally thousands of miles from my family and my core friends. And he made it very difficult for me to go out of the house, for me to talk and be with other people. It was very, very challenging. And I was in the part of the world where it was always also very hard to have a freedom, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was levels and levels of that.
Mm-hmm.
You now have a movement, the Love is Kind Network.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that, out of your PTSD, out of your traumatic experiences, out of everything that you have lived through and gone through, the Love is Kind Network was born.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I lost your voice.
Oh, the Love is Kind Network was born.
Mm-hmm.
What does the Love is Kind Network do?
First and foremost, we are here to support women who have experienced narcissistic relationships. Doesn't mean they were married. It can really be anything. We already talked about it could even be in the workplace, but most of them are some form of intimate relationship, and it can happen within a few months. It could be in mine, 25 years or 30 years. It just depends. But we're there to create a new foundation so you can reclaim your voice, your value, your confidence, and courage. And really, what I call is you get on your journey path, your own freedom journey path to become 100% you. And when you become 100% you, you know who you are and what you stand for and what you want, what you don't want, what you deserve, then you can decide whether to be in a relationship or not. And then if you're going to be in a relationship, you're going to know exactly what kind of relationship you're going to have. And you're not going to get into it. It's like, if I can use this analogy, we were talking about a building being built next door, right? You create that foundation, right? We create that foundation. If the foundation is weak, and even if the walls are weak, the building is going to crumble.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing, when these women, everything has been shattered inside and they don't know what's up, what's down, what's true, what's not. So it's really getting really clear on that. What do they stand for? So for me, it's like I'm creating, helping them create the new empowered person, the new empowered woman who can choose to find kind love, who can choose to say what she wants, who can speak up her mind. They still feel like I have to settle. I can't do this. And I go, no, you don't, and I show them, but they have that thinking that holds them back.
You just said a word. You used a word, and that's the word choice, because we have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how many women really see that when they're so stuck in a toxic relationship, that they actually do have a choice.
It's very difficult. I didn't, very, very few women do it. I mean, even now, even when they're out, they feel like they don't even have a choice. They don't have that capacity to understand. I mean, part of what I share with them is like, I'm an example of what's possible for you. I found the kind love of my life and I have the background. So now I can show you those steps to make it easier and faster for you. And just the thought it's possible for them is a leap, that it's a choice that they have. But when you're in the relationship, you think you're alone, so you don't share it with anybody. That's the shame that keeps you closed down. And when you're in it, there are functions in your brain that start to just splinter, really. Mm-hmm. So you lose, you're in so much flight and fear here, using the amygdala, not getting too much into details here, that your prefrontal cortex, where you do your thinking, do your planning, do your executive thinking, if I can't even say that, is just non-functioning. And that's why it also makes it hard for women to get out. And that's why they usually need somebody to help them, because they just can't think through it at that level. It's very challenging. Very, very challenging.
They can't think through that level. Not
when they're in the middle. That's pretty common.
Right. So they don't see the forest for the trees. So, one question that I have for you is, what kind of rituals have you created for yourself? And what kind of rituals have you seen other women create for themselves to, first of all, to move away from the pain, to then move towards that kind love?
Well, I'll have a lot of rituals that I do, but I think one thing that has served me well, and I'll go into my other ones too, is being forward focused. Even when I was in that relationship, when my daughter was young, I said, I can't stay in this relationship forever. I didn't know how. Even when I was planning the escape, which I didn't within 4 months, there was no plan B. There was only plan A, and I just knew it was going to work. I had no clue how it was going to work, but I knew it was going to work. So it was, one, having the forward focus, two, creating a plan, not just doing things mindlessly, and then just figuring it out along the way. And those are really powerful because a lot of women will just stay stuck in victimhood, and they wonder why they keep having the same relationships and why things keep repeating and why they don't have the success and why a whole bunch of other things. And it's because they're just stuck like that. But that's one of the keys that I do. But a lot of women, journaling, doing mind work. I talked a little bit about that earlier. I do a lot of my own. I tame my mind. The untamed brain is a scary thing. Let me tell you. But and when you've been in these relationships, I would say your limiting beliefs are like on steroids. You take the average person who's got limiting beliefs problem, but when you have been in these relationships, it's like it's on steroids. You don't feel like you're just not enough. You're not enough because you were told it 20 million times.
So
And
you now have evidence because you heard it so many times that you're
right,
not enough and
right.
what's wrong with you and
Yeah, you can't
why
do
you're not.
anything right, and you're
Yeah.
stupid, and all these things. So it just gets amplified. So that's why I feel like I know where these women have come from. I know what they went through to some degree, and can give them those steps to move forward so they can really take their own power back. And when I say power, it doesn't mean power over in any shape or form. It's just like knowing who you are, really knowing who you are. And you don't have to pretend to be somebody else. Forget about people pleasing. I mean, we're all people pleasers, right? We're any woman who's been in these relationships, and women in general. Culture has moved us towards that. Everywhere. I talk to women all over the world, and they give me these examples, and they're just, yeah, I just said yes. I just wanted peace. I didn't want to make things a problem. And you can't do that in a new relationship. You can't, if you have those beliefs, you cannot get into a kind, healthy relationship. You're going to create an unhealthy, you're going to look for an unhealthy. You won't be able to even find a healthy, kind relationship.
What would you say have these women as a value in common that value might have wilted or crumbled or almost died on the inside, but there's always that little seed that's just waiting for that one drop of kindness or that one drop of love that it will allow it to blossom again? What would be that value? And I don't know if
When,
it's one.
when I knew nothing about personal development, about mantras, nothing, zero, before I came to the United States and started studying. And during the 4 months that I was planning the escape, because I was riddled with so much guilt, which is kind of crazy, but I created what I now realize were mantras. And I said, my daughter and I deserve a happy and joyful life. I don't have to be a martyr, and I'm going to live my life, like capital L, capital I, capital V, capital E. I'm going to live my life. I want to live my life. And those were for me, that gave me the momentum to keep going, and that I deserve to live this life. I have one precious life. You have one precious life. And so it gets to the point where they just can't take it anymore. They just know they're not going to survive, and it's either suicide or live. It's pretty much it.
Wow. I cannot imagine you going through what you have gone through. And at the core, who is Rosie? At the core.
you know, I, I just, you know, I get to be me. I
Mm,
mean, Rosie is all of her, I am kind to the core. And I want to explain what kindness means, but just like, who is Rosie? I mean, she is a woman who's on a mission. And, just like I was on a mission to get out when the time was right, I'm on a mission to impact 100 million women worldwide. Don't ask me how, don't ask me if I'm going to do the stats, just, forget that. I'm just, but that's what drives me, because I believe in my core that women, to help women release the shackles of abuse. And when I say the shackles, it's really the mental shackles. It's the things that are keeping them locked in, and they have that power within themselves, and that they can create a joyful life. Because you know what, and you know this, is that this impacts our children.
Yes.
I am a disruptor. I am proud to be a disruptor of this toxic relationship. And I want more women to be disruptors. If the relationship is bad, you're not breaking up a relationship. You're giving people the chance to live their full life, to see the children get to see, their mother not being abused, because children who see it will either become abusers or abused, most likely, unless they get help. So that's how we continue this generation through generation and generation. We've got to give the population this chance. And for me, I find that kindness, when you lead from kindness, when I'm doing this, is like, my goal is to create kinder, intimate relationships, which will create kinder families, which will create kinder communities and a kinder world. It's a win-win. It's not Pollyanna stuff here. Being kind takes guts and courage.
Oh, I need you to say that again.
Being kind takes guts and courage, because being kind means standing up for your values, saying yes to yourself. Being kind does not mean being a doormat and saying yes when you want to say no. That's not being kind, because you're lying to yourself and you're lying to the other person of who you are. You're dumbing yourself down and you're giving in. And every time you give in, you give up yourself. That means you just put another layer of your over you, and another layer every time. Every time you people please, and you just say, okay, I like to be a nice person. Yes, but at what cost? At what cost are you just willing to give up who you are? My goal is so you can be 100% you. You don't have to make any excuses. The guy I'm with now, the love of my life, he likes all of me. And he'll say, oh, I love, that you're so sensitive. But he doesn't say it in any sense negative way at all. It's like he likes my sensitivity. He likes, that I'm doing this work. He likes when I'm, in my nightgown and knee socks. It doesn't
Now
really
that's a
matter.
visual.
Right. I'll give you the color of this knee sock. But that's the whole point, To be kind is to stand up, have healthy boundaries, know where you want to go, not being able to say, I can't speak my mind. That's being kind. People get a distortion of what kind means. Is being kind and a pushover is not being kind at all. You have to stand up for who you really are. And if the person, like, let's say you might be dating, for example, doesn't like that person, he's not right for you. And don't try to twist yourself into a pretzel, which is people pleasing, so he gets to like you, because he's going to like the person who's not really that person, right? You're trying to be somebody else you're not. And the real person always wants to come out. Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's like, we can't take it. It's like something inside is saying, it's not right. It's not right. We got to get out of here.
Yeah. Oh, in so many ways. I love the layers of getting out of here, right? Getting out of, in your case, the country and the culture and the shackles of the toxic relationship, but also stepping into who you truly are, right? Like you said, that takes courage and guts.
Yeah. Yes.
And I love that. And I love that. I want to lock arms and go, let's go wake everyone up and let's go do it. So there's a pattern there. There's pattern in all of the things that, and you described some of them, but there's a success pattern. And success is not necessarily the money that you make or the deals that you close. For some people, that might be it. But what is success for you, and what kind of recurring pattern does Rosie have when it comes to success?
When you read my bio, and I think, God, I've really done a lot of things, and I'm proud of that. And I think, and again, and I'm with the kind love of my life. So that's a major success, given where I've come from, what I see as being, so I can be an example for other women. And that's where my goal is why I'm out there. But I think really a success pattern for me is, I love people. I love to connect. I love to if I see what the core is, it's like, it's really connection and showing up and helping others and any way that I can. That's what if I were to die and that's the legacy, is like, she tried to help all these people, and that would make mean a lot to me. That's what that's what it is. It's just looking outside yourself when it comes to that. First, look inward to build yourself up, and then you can actually give, and you can. But I've always been that way. I've always been some kind of a connector, or I'm always looking for community and helping, and I love this world. I
Yeah.
love this world that I'm in.
And I love the work that you do. And as I shared with everyone, you came bearing gifts, not just
Oh,
one, but actually two.
yes, yes.
So what I said at the beginning, we first got to know what we don't want anymore to
Mm,
know what we do want. So
mm.
you did bring a gift. Tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this gift is called How to Not Get into Another Toxic Relationship, because that was a big fear I had, right? So you do everything, and like I told you, I did all the legwork, so it'll make it easier and faster for you. So it's like how to not get into a toxic relationship. And really the key is so that you can find the kind love. But as you're learning how to not get into a toxic relationship, again, it's really about who am I? Learning the real you and being proud of who you are, not making excuses. Oh, I'm too old. I'm too, I hear I'm too ugly. I hear all these things, I'm too much. I'm too loud. I'm too successful. All these twos. You get to
Yeah.
be you. And that's what that guidebook is all about, to really help you take that next step.
What a beautiful guidebook. So it's as you either see or hear, I'm going to, for everyone that's hearing, I'm going to share with you the link of how to get your free guidebook, how to not get into another toxic relationship so you can actually find the kind love that Rosie is so beautifully talking about. And this is where you get it. You get it at https:/bit.ly/ capital N, capital A, capital T, capital R dash K. So
Right.
bit.ly/NATR dash K.
Yeah.
That's where you find that free
Mhm.
guidebook. And
Mhm.
then you have yet another gift that you brought for us. So share more about that.
Yeah, they can, we'll give them the link. They can go to this link. It's bit.ly mini kind love. And you get a finding a kind, caring, loving relationship assessment. It takes you like 2 minutes to do. And then that will lead you to having a conversation with me so we can go through that. We can figure out maybe some belief that's holding you back. And you'll get at least 1 to probably more tips that you can implement immediately. And you'll get to know what your next steps are so that you can move forward. This is about really moving forward in your life. I mean, to me, this is our precious life, right,
Yeah.
Brigitte? This is our
Yeah.
precious life. And to just be stuck is such sadness to me, such sadness when it doesn't have to be. And I
Yeah.
see it all the time. I know what it is. I went through it, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. You keep going, you get the right steps, and we can get you there for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. If you want to, it's possible. It's
And
absolutely
we
possible.
do have that choice, but first you got to make that decision that you don't want the situation that you're in anymore.
That's right. Right.
Yeah.
They
So
have to make
this,
yeah.
yes, exactly. So that free assessment with a mini free coaching session with Rosie is bit.ly. So bit.ly/mini kind love, mini kind love, bit.ly/mini kind love. Rosie, this is beautiful. I could talk to you for hours and days. You're just a beautiful, kind, warm, fun soul. And I thank you for showing up constantly in my life. I thank you for showing up in other people's lives. Guys, get with Rosie. Go on the bit.ly/mini kind love link. Get with her. Go to the Love is Kind network.com, the Love is Kind network.com, and connect with Rosie in some way or another. And I'm pretty sure, Rosie, you're on all of the social media
Yes.
platforms as well.
Mhm.
So one
Mhm.
way that they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. I can do
Rosie,
that.
thank you for being here. Guys, thank you for tuning in to the Success Pattern Show. Our time is up. I thank you for being here. I thank you for Rosie being here. Next
Thank
week, we
you.
have another incredible guest. So tune in, same time, same place. Next week on Tuesday, Rosie, lots of love to you. The Love is Kind Network.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Success Pattern Show at www.thesuccesspatternshow.com. My name is Brigitte Höfele.